Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Debbie, I'm the Crafty Shopper. So we're gonna go do a Jenga block build. I wanna do a Christmas lantern. We're gonna start off with using a wood glue. Now this is the one from Dollar Tree that Terry sent me up here in Canada because we can't find the wood glue. I also use Well Bond, which is another glue that you can use, but you gotta make sure that it's a wood glue that you use. Never use hot glue unless you're just gluing a piece or two on, because eventually it will fall apart. Hot glue doesn't seal the blocks properly. When you glue them together, they won't seal properly. We're going to use the tumbling tower, aka Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree. Now, I had someone contact me, and apparently she was talking to, I don't know if it was DT staff or head office, but they're going to come back to the plain blocks. I have a bunch on still. I still have the neutral color ones. I know the ones they have in the store right now are the two-toned. And like I've been telling everybody that finds it difficult to work with two different color blocks, would be to separate them and then use, say, the brown ones for one build. It'd be easier to color it that way if you're going to do a darker build. Then use all the brown ones for a build and keep the neutral ones for this one. I think I'm going to do a white lantern. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see when we get to that point. I never know how this is going to turn out. Just an idea that I had. Now, if you're new to my channel, there's a little thing that I started years ago. It's called stacked and flat when I'm talking about blocks. I do pre-glue my stuff and kind of put it together without actually gluing it. So sections are glued prior. I will go through the counts with you. So when I say flat, it's just, I always glue sections on my ruler. Someone asked me today, I think it was on my Facebook, the Crafty Shopper page, asked me how come I get my blocks so straight. Now, I always glue them on a ruler like this. Now, for example, and I don't have the bucket right near me in my blocks. Sometimes the blocks are different shaped, a little bit longer, a little bit fatter. I'll just pull that one out when I get the section. So say I'm using 5 blocks, I'll put them all together. They look pretty even, not one's longer or one's thicker than the other. I'm just trying to find one. Obviously that's how I get my block shape straight. Plus I use a ruler. When I glue them together, I will move them around like this, for example, and do another section and keep gluing all around my table. Just got to remember what your numbers are. So when I glue the blocks like this, it does mean flat, just like this. When I glue the blocks with the glue being on the inside, the wider part of the blocks, just like this. And it's the same thing. I use a ruler to keep them straight. Like that, I say stacked. So when I say 17 stacked, what it means is it's just there's stacked right on top of each other, and just like that. Now, I let my stuff dry. Yes, Dollar Tree glue does dry pretty fast. Sometimes they will shift if you don't give enough time. So I take my time when I do my videos. That's why it takes a long time for my videos to come out. Plus I do work 2 jobs right now. So that's why it takes me a little bit longer. So I do glue my projects in sections. For example, I'll glue a bunch of pieces and then I'll leave them overnight, all like that, and then kind of organize myself the next day. I won't touch them right away. Sometimes I've noticed in the past when I've glued stuff together and say, for example, I moved it, I just make sure it's straight like that. If I don't pay attention, sometimes a block, even though it glues pretty fast, sometimes it shifts a little bit. So just be mindful when you're letting your blocks dry so that they stay in alignment. Now, we're going to start off with the base. I'm just going to cover it so I don't get you guys. So this is going to be the base of the lantern, and we're going to start off with a row like this. So we're going to do flat, and there's 11 here, but we're going to do 4 rows of 11, and just like that, which is 44. And I'm just going to show you, here's a good example how you can tell the blocks are not totally cut properly, is it's the same amount of blocks and there's a little bit indent here, and you can see the lines, they go off a little bit. That's because one of the blocks, I guess it won't make a difference on this part, but you'll see the difference sometimes, and that will shift your build a little bit. But with this part that we're doing won't matter. So once again, 4 rows and 11 in each row. So that's 44. You're gonna need 2 of these. So I already have 2 done, just like that. I'm just gonna move this one out of the way. I'll put this one here. Then we're gonna need, I'm gonna call that the base, and the other one is the top of the lantern, so we're gonna keep that one separate. Then we're gonna need a second one. I'm gonna turn it this way. Now we're gonna start off same with flat, and there's 10 flat with 3 rows. So that is 30, and you're gonna need 2 of those. I got 2 of those. Now we're gonna pull this one back. We're not gonna glue it this way. We are just gonna glue it on the opposite way. So you can see the rows going this way. We're gonna do it this way. And I'm just gonna do it really centered, kind of on here and here and here and here, and I'm just gonna glue that onto the base. The next thing we are gonna do is we're gonna do the legs of the lantern. Now we're gonna do 6 rows stacked of 3. So there's 3 in each row, and that's 6. So that is 18 blocks per leg. I'll call them legs. You're gonna need 4 of those. You're gonna need 4 of those, just like that. I'm gonna put those over here for the moment. Now we're gonna do inserts. I'll call them the inserts. At the base I want between the legs is like an insert. Now we are going to do just 2 inserts, and the first insert, I'm just putting it along here, I don't know why. It's a habit with the ruler. There's 13 stacked right here. You're gonna need 2 of those. So 13 and 13, we got 26. Now we're gonna take one of the 13s. We're gonna bring 2 of the legs, and that's why I had the ruler out. Just make sure it's nice and level here. No, I think this way glues better. And we are just gonna glue it right on this to the leg, and then we're gonna take the other 2 and do the exact same thing as this one. All right, so while we're gonna leave that dry, we are gonna move on to the legs. I'm gonna call them the legs. That's the thing that's gonna hold the top of the lantern on. We'll call them legs. We are gonna do 3 stacked, and you're gonna wanna do 6 rows, and each leg is 18 on it. So just like that, you're gonna need 4 of those. So altogether that's 17. Once I figure out, because I'm not sure how many blocks I am gonna do, I will say that later in the video how much blocks total. So anyways, just for the legs is 72. Excuse me. We're gonna bring the ruler out. We're gonna use that in 1 second. Then I'm gonna call these inserts, that's between the legs. You're gonna need 10 stacked, and you're gonna need 2 of those, so that's 20. Then we're gonna do another 2, excuse me guys, 13, and we're gonna need 2 of those, so that's 26. Now the first step we are gonna do, and this is very important to pay attention which blocks you're gonna use. We're gonna just use the 10, not the 13, because if you place them incorrectly, it won't sit proper on the bottom. You're gonna take 2 of the legs. I'm just gonna put one right here. We're gonna put this right like that, right against it. And you're gonna glue right in between there. I should just shifted it over. We're not going to touch the 13 ones. Not yet. Going to glue that. Then you're going to grab your other piece, 2 legs, and the other 10 stacked. And you're going to glue both of those like that. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. And let those dry. All right. Now that these are glued, they're finished. I just took the second one and did the exact same process, lines that way for the base, and I did 2 of them like I explained earlier. I still want to add something different for the top, but I'm not going to do that right this second, and I'm going to wait till a little bit later once we have it put together. But before we start gluing it on the base, I like to take my, and it fell off the desk here, my buffing pad, and this is a just a little note that if you are planning to stain the blocks with some kind of gel stain or anything like that, make sure you look for glue marks, because I'm just going to show you right here. As you can see, there's a glue mark right there. That's when the glue just seeps out. And if you don't take it out, the stain won't seal. So you'll see white blotch, off stain blotches, and it doesn't look as pretty. So just make sure that you, and I'm just using a nail file. You can use a buffing block. There's little nail blocks I like to use as well. So I'm just going to look through, and I'm just going to give it a quick little sand. I'm going to look on this side because I know some of the glue seeped out right here. I'm not going to stain it. I think I'm just going to do a really white one. A white one. And you'll see some of the glue is just, it's already rolling off, and I'm going to do a better job with that. I'm going to take my bigger buffer, and you can get this big one in the Dollar Tree automotive section. These are usually in the beauty section. I like my big square one from Dollar Tree. That one works really well. This one's pretty used as it is. And you're just going to go around and look at the sides. Now, on the sides, I know one side's going to be on the inside, so you're not going to see it. And I'm just going to double check. You could even round the corners a little bit, if you know what I mean, just so they're not so pointy, if you want to do that as well, just on the corners. So I'm just going to do that, and then we're going to glue it together. All right, now that the buffing I've finished. Now what I did on both these sides is I just went around the corners and around the other side, just gave it a little bit of curve to it. Now, before we put the top on, you're going to put your 2 middle supports on, and I would place it on just for placement at first, not to glue it on. I notice right here to be even near the edge is about 1 and maybe 1/4. That one there is 1 1/4 block in, so it's balanced, because the little base here will be a little bit smaller width-wise when you put it on, and that's fine. I'm gonna do the same there, kind of eye measure it, and then I would just glue those on, but place them on just first before you have the glue, just like that, and you attach glue on the sides and the bottom, and the exact same for the other side. And when you set it on nicely like that, you will notice that you have a little bit of side sticking out on the second smaller base here, and that's fine. And then you're just going to want to glue that all together. All right, once I did that, before I put this piece on, I just want to let you know I did stick some more wood glue along the edges there. You're not going to see inside there on the bottom anyways, but I did want to make sure that I put some extra glue just for reinforcement. Now, just going to dab some glue on top. With this part, we're not going to turn it upside down. We're just going to keep this part, the smaller piece, showing upwards, and you're just going to kind of have to eye balance it out and just glue it right on there. And then I'm just going to leave it dry for a couple hours and not play with it. All right, so now it's dry. I do want to add just a couple, I'm going to call them brackets, just under the top to make sure that they stay attached to the side, just a little extra something. We're going to do 3 flat. You're going to need 2 of them. And we are just going to glue on the top here. and right on each side. It is just a tad little shorter, but that's okay. I'm gonna do one, I think this way I'll fit better, more flushed. Do one here and do one on the back side. All right guys, so I got it done. Got just a little extra. If you do, you could do an extra one there. I just left it only because it didn't match enough that it was just too long, but that's okay. Now I want to do one more thing, and I want to do it on the top to give it just kind of moving it up a little bit. So I'm going to call it the third top base, and 2 rows of 6, which is 12, and it's flat. And I'm just gonna put it right on there. I'm not gonna glue it on first. I'm just gonna show you and then I'll explain why. So just remember it's the opposite. You could do it that way too. It's up to you how you wanna put it. The next one is just 4 flat. I'm gonna center that. So we're just kind of building kind of like a pyramid on top. And then we are going to do two different ones with 3 stacked. So that is 6. I got to add up the totals, and this is where I'm going to finish adding the blocks. And I'm just going to glue them together like this, just kind of like a knob on top. If you have something nice, or you could even put one of those glass jars that had, that was on the, I'm trying to remember, the nautical one with the seahorse last year where I put sand in it. You could use one of those ones right on top, upside down little jars would look cute as a knob on top. I am going to glue this off separate from the lantern. Once I do that, I am going to round the corners on the top part and just along the top of the base, just because I did round everything else and this little pointy around. So I am going to glue these on and then file them and then glue the top on to the lantern. All right, so I let it dry overnight just to make sure it was solid. It's pretty good. I really like the knob on top, and I did find something when I was digging through my craft supplies last night that we're going to add on the top that you can get from Dollar Tree, but we'll get to that later. It wasn't the glass one that I suggested from the other bill earlier in the video. I decided to go with white, and I'm just going to use a bit of baking soda, more of a chalky ceramic finish, just a little bit more texture, just some with acrylic paint. You can use chalk paint if you have that on hand. I don't have any on hand. And I'm just going to mix it up to the desired consistency, and I am just going to paint it all white. I'm going to probably give it a couple coats. All right, guys, so I ended up painting it. I got all the top part. I didn't do the bottom, obviously, but I think it turned out really well. I really like the texture of it. I played with glitter. I was painting something, and now my hands are full of it. 2 things I'm gonna do. I haven't decided. I wasn't gonna put feet, but now I'm gonna put feet on it right here. Now I have these. I don't remember where I bought them from. Dollarama, Dollar Tree. It was about a year or 2 ago, and they were the bigger blocks, so they are bigger than the typical blocks, and I wanted to put some feet on them. I am going to glue them. I'm not going to paint them right away because I haven't decided if I want to just do white or maybe silver. I'm going to turn it upside down and glue those feet on. When I turn it upside down and glue the feet on, I want to glue something at the very top of the lantern, and this best way to do it is put it in a Kleenex box. I had it here earlier. You can just stick the knob part right in the Kleenex box. It should sit right in and hold. While I have the upside down, I'm just gonna grab a light from Dollar Tree, the push lights. I was already playing with it. You can just, I already put batteries in it. And I'm not gonna face it upwards, but I think he'll give it a nice glow in there. You could also use fairy lights, whatever you wanna do in it, but I'm gonna use one of these. You glue this part on and it just screws in, so when you need to change the batteries, you can just take it out. So while I have it upside down, when I'm gluing the feet on, I am just gonna take this bottom part off and put a little bit of glue on there around the side and the tape while it's upside down just to let it dry. All right, so it's all finished painted. Now I want to add some stuff to it. I've been looking at it for a couple days and I didn't really know what I wanted, kind of played with some ideas and then found something that I really, really liked. Just a garland from Dollar Tree. I'm just gonna say pick the bigger one here. Just hang it straight in the middle. I'm gonna let it dangle and maybe just glue it on here or just in front. And it'll be easier if it's upright so you see how it hangs and which one, how you don't want it to hang too much depending on what you want to put inside. But I'm gonna do this in here and then I'm just gonna drape it right across the other side. I might do it, hot glue it on the side only because there is no bar on the side, only in the front and the back. Or I might just flop it right over the top and do it that way as well. All right, now that I glued it on, it kind of looks funny because I was looking at the camera. Anyways, it will hang nicely. I didn't do the back and we'll get to that later. So I just did both the sides just a little bit. This one hangs a little bit longer and it's just the way the snowflakes hang. You can get those at Dollar Tree. Next thing we're doing, I'm just going to cut out a piece of floral form to stick inside. I already cut that out. So I want to raise some stuff up and it's good if you want to put flowers. Really depends on what you want to do. I just got another little slice that I'm just going to stick on the side. Now it's not going in proper. Oh, there we go. On the side. Now I have glitter everywhere. I was playing with glitter. All right. Now, what I want to do on the top, now, how am I going to explain this? Originally, I didn't plan on having too much up here except a little bit of floral form. And then our Dollar Tree, like I said earlier, doesn't have much Christmas out right now. One store didn't even have nothing out. And they're still putting stuff out. Anyways. Had these candle rings. Now these are from Dollarama and I just love them when I saw them. I didn't know I was going to use them for this project. I actually bought 2. Now they're just rings like this. My Dollar Tree just has really tiny, small ones. Maybe if you have a DT Plus, which I believe all your stores have changed to DT Plus. I think that's what someone told me. And you can also just buy greenery that you could stick around in a circle as well. Now the bottom one, I'm gonna stick right in here and you're gonna be like, what? I'm gonna stick that in there. I'm just gonna push it all in there. Hold on one sec. Now I got it in. You just gotta maneuver it around. I didn't want to cut it in pieces. I kind of wanted to keep it just the way it was attached instead of gluing a bunch of pieces. I'm just going to try to see if I can set it down here. Let's see. Now that I have that in, on the bottom right here, I'm just going to adjust my camera a little bit lower. On the bottom, right along the bottom ledge here, I'm just going to take some of these rhinestones. They're just, you can buy them at Dollar Tree. And just give it a little something underneath. And I'm going to do that all the way around. Now, I did say there was a second one of these that I wanted to put on top. If I knew I was putting these originally on top, I would have made the inner circle smaller or omit it altogether. But I didn't, so I'm going to work with it. So I'm going to take the second one now. And this is the other candle ring. And it doesn't sit properly, as in I'm going to put it right under the camera here. As you can see, it's just a little bit too big. I thought about cutting the corners, but then I'm going to be cutting branches off and I don't want to cut them off. Now, I'm just going to do a placement right here and I'm going to show you why. I am going to go around, put the little glues on the corner. I'm going to sit it down and then I'm going to take some branches underneath and push them down on the side and hot glue all the way around just so it's attached firmly to the top. I am going to take these balls off because I did take the other balls you can't see over here, I did take those off, the bottom ones. I didn't like them. I will take these off before I put them on. If you're going to use a candle ring like this, I'm just going to move this forward a bit. On the front part here, originally on the inside of the candle, I really wanted to incorporate the deer. Now you could totally do that. I'm going to do something a little different, and I want to place it on the top. And I was playing with this earlier, and it does sit on the ledge, and I'm just going to move this here. It does sit right like this on the ledge. So from the side, it's one up, and the 3 feet actually sit, and where the hoof that's leg that's bent actually sits on this one perfectly. So it does sit like that, and I did play around with it to have this glued down, and I'm obviously not going to sit here and play with it right now, but I did move some branches, and I was able to, and I think I just got it here because I was trying to mark it earlier, and it just sits like that. I know it's hard to see, but whatever you're going to use on top, or you could do the greenery and still put this. I didn't have I wasn't going to put the deer, I was going to put it inside, but it's going to be on top. Gonna get the top part of the candle ring glued on as well with the deer. All right, so now that I have that glued on, I'm gonna add some lights. Now I have these ones from was either Temu, I think it's Temu, I don't think it's Amazon, but I don't like the ones that have the big battery pack, especially because I'm gonna hide them in here. So it's good to get the smaller ones. You can also use ones like, I'm gonna find in my drawer, these ones as well. When you light them up, they work fine, and you can slip it right underneath it. Or these ones have 3 settings. So I'm going to use these ones. I am going to do 2 separate ones. I know we didn't put a light on the inside on top, but I'm just going to add extra lighting around the top, and then this one will be around the bottom, and I'm going to conceal it in the back of the lantern. All right, the next thing we're going to do, so right on top here, oh, I have a little ball in there, right on top. Now, like I said earlier, it really depends on what you want to put on top, so just be mindful. You could minus out the blocks. The total amount of the blocks, I had it written down, is 290 altogether for the blocks, but you can minus out, like I said. But I'm going to sit something right behind the deer. I'm going to move it here. It's just a tree topper from Dollarama. It was, or Dollar Tree. It was gold, but I end up just using some Mod Podge and using silver glitter to keep the color scheme. And I am just going to put it right on top, right there. Next thing I want to do, when I was at Hobby Lobby, they had the 50% sale off, and they came with 3 of these, and I just thought they were really pretty. So I am going to use one of those. These are from Walmart that I got last year. There was just 4 of them. I'm going to take one of those. I'm just going to cut this little strip shorter. And on the front, I am going to hang the longer one on the right. And it doesn't really matter, I guess, which one you want to do, or either or. And hot glue the one left on this side. With the deer around its neck, I am just going to add a little piece of fun fur with a little bell. And I thought at the back, I'm going to turn around, on the back here where we didn't put anything, Dollar Tree has these icicles. And I did 4 of them, 2 longer. I'll do a second longer, well, a little bit shorter, and kind of have that theme with the 5 of them just along. And I'm gonna hot glue them right along, let me see here, right along this edge in the back, and keep them centered, just so when you're looking through, you can just see some icicle falling. And I'm just gonna hot glue those on. The next thing that I want to do is fill the inside around it. Now on the one side, on the left side of the deer, when you look at it, I'm going to put a bow in there, and I don't know, I usually like everything centered. Maybe that's my OCD. But I just made a bow with some ribbon from Dollar Tree. and a zip tie in the middle. I'm not even going to show you how to make bows because I'm not a great bow maker. I actually use, I'll show you here what I use. I found this once upon a time at Walmart, Bow Genius, and it's the easiest thing because everything sits nice. I could just never bunch them together. And it's just basically, this is what it looks like. And as you put the bows in, you fold it on each side. It's just easier to put the zip tie in after, and you could look on the internet and look at the video, but this is what I use just because I can't make bows. So this is what I have in the middle to conceal the zip tie, just a Dollar Tree piece from a floral pick that I'm just going to put right in there just to make it pop a little bit. I am just going to put some random Christmas balls. These ones are from Dollar Tree. These are also from Dollar Tree. There's ones like this, and it really depends on what color you want to do. There's a pack of these that I really thought would, especially the mirrored ones with the lights, I think would bounce off the lights that are in there as well. I'm just going to play around off camera with that and put the bow on. And I played with the bow already and it looks pretty good even though it's off-centered. Now, on the inside of the bottom one, and I'm going to show you here. Now, really depends, you could find, depending if you want to do what we're doing. I had this, I wanted a candle for the bottom part, and originally that's why I put the light up there, but then after I thought, well, if the candle lights up. But these are from a long time ago. I've had them in the basement, and it's just an old pool noodle that I did the pool noodle candles. I did the Christmas ones, if you've seen it on my Facebook page. Also, I've done Halloween a couple years ago. And what else? Oh, and I did white ones with the bling color. And if you look inside, just a super easy, cut the desired length from a pool noodle. This one was a long one that I had, and it was just came apart from my other piece I had. And I thought, you know what, this is perfect. And it'll look nice in there just because it has the silver and the white. You dig a hole for your tea light. So it just pops in there. All around the edges right here are just hot glue marks along there. And if it burns the pool noodle a bit, your hot glue gun is just a little bit hot, that's fine. Just adds more character to it. And then I didn't use acrylic paint. I actually just used house paint, which is what I had on hand. And you can see it peeling there just because, like I said, I had to cut it off with a sharp knife. And this was just a piece of bling ribbon. I don't even know where I got it from. So I just had that on hand, and that's when I did it a couple years ago. I still have some. So I am going to put that in the middle. Now, once I have this in the middle, there is a bit of area depending on what greenery. I'm just going to put some mesh around it and fill it with snow and call it. That's where I'm going to stop. Otherwise, this is just going to be a lot more than a Dollar Tree project. All right, I'm going to get that done, and I'm going to turn the camera around and you can see what it looks like finished. All right, guys, so here it is all finished. I put a little bit of snow near the bottom of the star along with the bow and just a flower. Also, you can see I added the snow around the base, and I just left the bottom, the greenery, just plain with no Christmas balls. It was busy enough on top. Now I do have that light on just because it's a little bit dark in here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn off all the lights, and I'm going to put the top lights and the bottom lights on. All right, guys, this is what it looks like lit up. I just think it's really pretty. Now I didn't turn the up part, the light up here. As you notice on the deer, I just changed the little bow. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You can always change it up. You can change seasons in it. You don't have to do Christmas. You can do Halloween if you have time. You could do Thanksgiving. It really depends on what you want to do. You could do spring in there as well. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.